everyone, and welcome back to Little Language Artists. Today we're going to talk about the 5-paragraph essay. As you know, we are going to be starting a 5-paragraph essay project on Little Women. So today we're going to talk about the 5-paragraph essay. It's important you pay attention while watching this video and fill out your note sheet. Today we're specifically going to look at the essay organization. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start out with the organization of the 5-paragraph essay. A 5-paragraph essay's organization can most closely resemble that of a kebab. Here's a picture of a kebab. It is made up of 2 triangles on the ends facing each other with 3 rectangles in the middle of it. Each shape in this kebab represents a different part of the 5-paragraph essay. So let's take a look at what each shape represents. So the first triangle facing downward is for the introduction. We're going to talk more specifically about each part of the 5-paragraph essay and why they are these shapes in a minute. First, you have the introduction. Next, you have 3 body paragraphs, which we represent here as rectangles. Body paragraph number 1, body paragraph number 2, and body paragraph number 3. Lastly, you're going to have a conclusion, which is a right side up facing triangle. All right, so just remember, the essay organization of a 5-paragraph essay resembles that of a kebab. It's important you understand the organization of the essay before you start writing so you can provide your readers with a clear direction to go and to read in. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at an introduction paragraph. The introductory paragraph is the very first paragraph in your essay. It is made up of 4 parts, and it can be represented by an upside down facing triangle. Okay, so the first part of an introductory paragraph would be the hook, followed by the title, mentioning the title and the author of the piece that you're working on. So here you can see the top of the triangle represented by 2 boxes. The first is the hook, which grabs the attention of your reader and makes them want to read more. And the second is the title and author, mentioning the title and the author of the piece of work you're analyzing. So for our essay, it would be Louisa May Alcott's Little Women. The next part of the introductory paragraph is background on your topic. You're going to want to provide some background information or situational information about the topic. So for our instance, you would provide some background information on the specific character or sister you chose from Little Women. So if you chose Jo, you might want to give some background information on Jo in the introduction. Last, and by far the most important part, and that's why it's started in red, so you'll remember that, is to create a strong and concise thesis statement. This is so important, and we're going to talk more about a thesis statement in a minute, but it's so important that you provide a very strong and clear thesis statement. So as I said before, the introductory paragraph is an upside down facing triangle. And that's because in an introductory paragraph, we move from general information to more specific information. So we start with a hook or attention grabber that's pretty general. Then we move all the way to the bottom with a thesis statement that's very specific and provides the purpose and the point for our paper. Another important thing to know is that the introductory paragraph, although it's the first one of your paper, will be the paragraph that you write at the very end, after you've finished your whole entire paper. You are going to want to, however, have chosen a thesis statement and have already written your thesis statement before you start your paper. And we'll get to more about that in a second. All right, so let's talk about thesis statements. Okay, here's a list of what a thesis statement is. So a thesis statement is a purpose or opinion of or your argument. So it's the reason why you're writing this paper. Here is really important, and it's starred for you. It is the most important sentence in your paper because it contains your argument. It tells the reader why you're writing this paper and what you're going to do in this paper. The rest of your paper is going to be supporting this statement, this purpose, and this thesis statement. So all the evidence you choose will be chosen to support your thesis statement. When you write your thesis statement, you want to make sure it's really clear, direct, and concise. It's a roadmap. It's the map and the road signs for your reader. It tells your reader, this is what I'm trying to do with my paper, and this is the way that I'm going to show you how to do it. So you want to make sure you spend a lot of time working on your thesis statement, revising it, and making sure that you choose evidence that supports it. Okay, so now on to the body paragraphs. So the body paragraphs are those paragraphs that contain the evidence to support your thesis statement. Body paragraphs have direct quotes or some form of summarizing or paraphrasing that supports your thesis statement. Each body paragraph should focus on one point of your argument. So you're going to want to have, in a 5-paragraph essay, 3 body paragraphs, each dealing with one important point that helps support your thesis. You're going to want to use direct quotations, examples from the text, and be careful to explain and support each point in fact you pull out from the text with your analysis. You're going to want to analyze, tell us why this thing is happening in the story, or how that part of the story or this example proves your thesis. Remember, analysis is how and why, not what happened, but how and why it happened. What does it mean? So let's talk about the different elements of a body paragraph. Every body paragraph should have a topic sentence that is clear, direct, and speaks to the thesis. It's the focus of the paragraph. Just like when we were writing mini paragraphs earlier on in the year for projects, you had a topic sentence that really stated your ideas about that paragraph. This topic sentence in your body paragraph will do the same thing. It will be providing focus for that paragraph, but it also has to relate to your thesis. Each body paragraph will have 1 or 2 strong examples that support the thesis statement and the topic sentence that you just wrote. Those examples will most likely be in direct quotes, so make sure you include 1 direct quote, and then you can paraphrase something else. You want to make sure you have a strong and summative concluding sentence. So a sentence that concludes that paragraph and transitions on to the next paragraph. Sort of sums up everything that paragraph was talking about. Last but not least, you'll want to use transitional words between the ideas in the paragraph and between the paragraphs as well to help your writing flow and help the reader sort of understand where you're going with your argument. So the last part of our 5-paragraph essay is our conclusion. So the introduction was an upside down facing triangle. Now the conclusion is a right side up facing triangle. Conclusion has 3 different parts, and so let's talk about the 3 different parts of this triangle. The first part of your conclusion and the first sentence that you want to make is a restatement of your thesis statement. You want to make sure you're using new and fresh words. That's why it's written down in red. So not just copying and pasting your thesis statement, but writing it using new words and but keeping that same idea. In 1 to 2 sentences for each body paragraph, you want to summarize the main idea in each of those body paragraphs. So use 1 to 2 sentences to summarize the main idea in each of your body paragraphs. So you're going to want to have between 3 and 6 sentences about your body paragraph main ideas. Last part of your conclusion is you want to end with sentences that are either food for thought, that answer the question why, or the so what. Why did you study this? What is so important? What was the purpose of doing this? Why did you do this? And what's the big idea? Why should the reader care is what you want to think about. Why should the reader care about the virtue that Jo learns at the end of Little Women? Or why should the reader care about Meg's transformation in Little Women? What is the main idea? So the introduction, remember we said, was an upside down facing triangle because the information started with something more general and went to specific, the thesis statement. Well, in the conclusion, starting with that very specific, that restatement of the thesis, and going to something very general, the food for thought or the why or the purpose. And that's why the conclusion is a right side up triangle. So the conclusion completes our Kebab 5-paragraph essay. Now that you've learned about the organization of the 5-paragraph essay, what I want you to think about is how you're going to write your 5-paragraph essay. Now that you've finished learning about the 5-paragraph essay, make sure you've filled out your note sheet and you've got all the information down. Make sure you also note something if you didn't understand it or if you still have questions on it. And be sure to bring that up during class tomorrow. Good luck and enjoy writing your 5-paragraph essays.